The sharp snap of wire breaking under strain sliced through the dawn's fragile stillness, a twang that jolted John Parker from his Texas porch, his rifle leaping to his hands as the coffee mug slipped from his grip, shattering across the weathered boards with a crash that echoed over his 200-acre ranch. He stood tall, heart pounding like a war drum, the burn on his forearm pulsing as he squinted toward the lake's western edge, the silver surface glinting under a rising sun. The sound reverberating from the fence line he'd mended just yesterday after thrashing those highway punks. After Ethan's shaky return and the brawl 2 nights ago, John had hoped for a breath of peace, but this wasn't a loose steer or the wind. It was deliberate, a shadow cutting at his land's veins, and he'd face it with the steel of his 54 years. He stormed to the barn, saddling Dusty with hands steady from decades of grit, the chestnut mare snorting as he mounted, and rode hard toward the breach, rifle raised. The wildflowers along the plains swaying in the cool March breeze, ready to unmask the threat. The air was crisp, the sun climbing slow, painting the grass gold and violet as he spurred Dusty toward the western fence, the lake shimmering in the distance, its shores still scarred from Grayson's rigs and fires. He reined in, dismounting with a thud, boots crunching dew-soaked earth, and the sight hit like a gut punch. A 50-yard stretch of barbed wire slashed clean through, posts splintered. The cuts surgical, wire cutters, not rust or strain. Tracks scored the dirt, boot prints, heavy and deep, weaving into the brush toward the ridge, a glint catching his eye, a brass shell casing. .45 caliber, half buried in the mud, fresh from last night. John's blood ran cold, suspicion coiling tight, the rifle steady as he knelt, rolling the casing in his fingers. It shined a cold promise of intent. This wasn't random. Someone was testing his borders, and, after Grayson's jailbound schemes and the punk's lesson, the ranch was a target once more. He followed the tracks, rifle raised, the brush thick with thorns snagging his denim, his Stetson shading eyes sharp with fury, the old war wound flaring as he pushed uphill toward the ridge. A rustle broke the silence, low, quick, and he swung the barrel up, peering through the trees. A shadow darted, a figure in dark gear, too fast to pin, vanishing over the crest. The crunch of leaves fading into the wind. John cursed under his breath, limping forward, the ridge looming as he crested it, the lake sprawling below, serene against the chaos in his chest. More tracks fanned out, 2 sets now, circling back toward the highway, a scrap of black cloth snagged on a branch, fluttering like a flag of defiance. His gut twisted, rage simmering beneath his exhaustion. This was no petty vandal. This was calculated, a shadow on his wire, and he'd rooted out. He hauled back to the house, tethering Dusty, and burst inside, the shell casing and cloth slamming on the table. "Frank, Mary Ellen, up!" he barked, voice rough, the crew stirring. Frank Hensley from the couch, gray hair wild, pistol leaping to his grip. Mary Ellen Carter from the kitchen, braids swinging, shotgun ready. Jake, Sarah, and Matt tumbling from their rooms, faces tense. Tom Carter trailing, shovel from the barn in hand. Ethan slouching from the hall, eyes bleary but widening at the storm in John's stride. "Fence is cut," John said, pointing to the evidence, the brass glinting in the lantern light. "Tracks. Shell. Someone stalking us." Frank's eyes darkened, his soldier's calm steady as he studied the casing. .45, handgun fresh. Military or thug. Either way, trouble's back. Mary Ellen poured coffee, her hand firm, her voice edged. "Grayson's locked. Punks are caged. Who's this new player?" Jake leaned in, fists clenched, voice hard. "Testing us, after Ethan's stunt. Now this? We're bleeding targets." Sarah nodded, pulling her phone, her voice steady. "Hargrove, fence cut, shell found. Need him out here." Matt opened his laptop, fingers flying. "Tracks. Cloth could be hired. I'll check Grayson's old contacts, Dallas maybe." Ethan shifted, guilt a shadow in his gaze, voice low. "Dad, I'll check the ridge, prove I'm in." Could be my mess. Lila's crowd. Maybe. John's jaw clenched, trust thin but bending, the rifle close. You're on ridge now. Take Tom, don't screw up. Tom nodded, shovel down, grabbing a lantern, and rode out with Ethan. Their horses' hooves fading into the dawn, the plains shimmering under a climbing sun. Midday heat baked the ranch as the crew planned. Frank scouting the highway, Jake and Matt tracing leads. Sarah calling Sheriff Hargrove, his voice crackling over speakerphone. John, shells recent, I'll sweep the ridge. Stay sharp, could be Grayson's tail. Dusk fell, the sky streaking gold. When Ethan and Tom galloped back, faces grim, a rusted wire cutter in Ethan's hand, blood flecking the handle. Found us, ridge top, Ethan said, voice tight. Track split. 2 guys one shot at us. Missed. Tom winged him, arm, I think. Tom nodded, lantern flickering, his voice steady. Caught his sleeve, black like the cloth. He ran fast. John's chest tightened, the cutter a cold weight. The lake glowing outside. Shot at you? This ain't play. Someone's hunting. Frank's pistol gleamed, his voice gravelly. Trap, ridge, fence, lure him back, hit him hard. Mary Ellen gripped John's arm, her voice steady. Grayson's ghost or new blood? We've got the land. They've got nothing but shadows. Sarah tapped files, resolute. Hargrove's got the punks. Grayson, now this. Stack it, find a thread. John nodded, the rifle close, the lake calm beyond the window. They're cutting, we carve back. Set it tonight. Night deepened. The group splitting, Ethan and Jake on the ridge with lanterns, Matt and Sarah tracing signals, Frank and Mary Ellen scouting the fence with shotguns. John rode, dusty, to the breach. The wire a jagged scar, the wind a low moan carrying the scent of pine and danger. Hours passed, stars piercing the haze, when a shot cracked. Sharp, close. Ethan's yell echoing from the ridge. Dad here. John spurred, dusty uphill, rifle raised, the crest of battlefield. Ethan wrestling a man in black, blood on his sleeve, Jake pinning another, their .45s scattered in the dirt. Lanterns casting wild shadows. John leapt from the saddle, tackling the first, slamming him into a tree. The man's mask ripping free, scarred face, mid-30s, eyes wild with panic. Who sent you? John roared, wrenching his arm, the crack of cartilage loud, the lake glowing below. The man gasped, voice ragged. Dallas, cash job. Hit the ranch, scare you off. Don't know who, swear. Jake hauled the second up, voice raw. Scare us? You shot my brother. Hargrove's siren wailed, patrol car screeching in, lights cutting the night, deputies cuffing them, the cutter bagged. Goch, em Argrovi Barkid, Baja Glinching. Shell matches, hired guns, John. I'll trace it, Dallas leads solid. Dawn broke, the lake calm, the crew gathered, coffee steaming, biscuits warm. Ethan slouched, blood on his shirt, but trust mending. The map spread wide, fence marked in red. Caught him, Frank said, pistol gleaming. But shadows don't fade, someone's paying. Mary Ellen squeezed John's hand, her voice steady. You held, Ethan too. We're stronger than their wire. Jake grinned, fists unclenching. He fought. Maybe he's worth keeping. John met Ethan's gaze, voice steel. You bled for it, good. Stay sharp, shadows deep. Across the ridge, a light blinked, binoculars, then gone. He chambered round, the click loud. Ready for the wire's next cut.